drums, loud, rockin', modern drums. This is 5 general thoughts that I have about working with virtual drums. So we're mixing drums, and I'll be sharing all kinds of stuff like this. If you think that sounds kind of cool, then, maybe boop, hit that button and ring the bell so you don't miss anything. My first thought is have a real drummer play the part. On pads, on electric drums, there really isn't a substitute for having somebody who knows how to build the shape of a song and the dynamic. If that's an option, that's a great choice. My second thought is, after the drummer plays, or even if you're using pre-made patterns, don't quantize it 100%. Now, I really like the drums to be very tight, like gridded drums on a big, expensive rock project. If I don't quantize them 100%, there's a little bit of differentiation so that every hi-hat doesn't land exactly where every kick drum lands, and every hi-hat doesn't land where every snare drum lands, and it creates a little bit of a sonic randomness, and that creates more of a spongy, fluid kind of a feeling, and I really prefer that to like 100%, because I think part of the appeal of the real drum vibe is that it doesn't sound like a drum machine. Polished, yes, but not like a machine. Okay, my third point is about selecting sounds. I'm using 2 kinds of virtual drums on this. Johnny Holiday from the Robb Nash project played these drums in Winnipeg and sent the MIDI information out to me, and then I printed it through 2 different drum VIs that I really like. So one of them is the Slate Drums and the other one is Galaxy Drums. I want to give a shout out to Chris Seegers, who developed Galaxy Drums. For Galaxy Drums, I'll post a link in the description. You can check out a demo of Galaxy Drums. I'll put a little bubbly eye thing right about here. That's how they sound. I mix virtual drums as if I was mixing real drums. Virtual drums sometimes can be a little bit sterile and a little bit too clean. Most people do a top-down mix, and that's what I did here. And my anchor for doing this was the Slate Drums. I preferred the Galaxy kick drum in this setting. If you want to have a look, this is what I did to it. My mixing template, if you will, was based on how Chris Lord Alge mixes drums. When you see him mix, he's really fighting boring. So as you can see, I'm adding a ton of top end. With the EQs, much brighter. I like the power of that. And then the next thing, snare top and bottom. I got a little bit of tape on it. Lots of high end. Bottom. Good rattly snares. What I'm doing here with the compression is just, I've EQ'd them pretty bright, and the compression just kind of helps take the edge off a little bit. You can see I'm not using a ton. So that's the basic kit. I added a sample to the kick drum. The sample sounds like this. Obviously explosive, lots of size. I added a lot of top end to it. That's what it sounds like by itself. Great sounding kick, but excitement, right? So this is how they combine. Next, I went for the rooms. A lot of people really smash the crap out of the rooms. In this instance, I didn't. I added an ambient snare. A lot of white noise in there. It makes the sound of the snare longer. I added a sample. That's what I would do if I was mixing real drums. So if I add them all together, I still wanted a little bit more messiness. And I really like the overheads in the Galaxy Drums. Very authentic sounding, but of course, I messed with them a little bit. And then I mentioned about really crushing drums. The room sounds from the Galaxy Drums, yeah, I crushed them in a distressor. So combined with So that's the overheads and the rooms from both. Add all this stuff together. A little bit of tape on the drum bus. Here's the main drum bus. I EQ after I've already got everything, because if you EQ on the drum bus too much first, it can get a little bit confusing. I don't tend to compress drum bus a lot, sometimes just a little bit. In this case, I did do a parallel. This is how much it's compressed, but I'm actually not using tons of it in the mix. So I was already getting a lot of size from what I'd done to the rooms, and I didn't really feel like I needed to add a lot of parallel compression. Your mileage may vary. You might like more than that. For me, in the context of this song, I thought it was working pretty cool. You see how with the real drums, how the real drummer makes such a difference? I mean, he played that, so it feels authentic and it feels cool. My last thought, number 5, is pull up a couple of other records and reference to something that you think really sounds like what you're going after. Not just anything. For example, in the context of this mix, the drums feel very loud and aggressive, but they don't meter super loud. And if you listen to other stuff, sometimes you get the feeling like the drums are hyper loud in a mix, but what you're really going for is hyper excitement. If you reference to something, sometimes you notice like the kick or the snare drum aren't as loud as you think they are in the mix, but maybe they're brighter, more exciting. The last thing, I did add a little bit of room reverb. So this is the kind of room reverb. That's a Chrysaor Algae kind of a preset. It's a room. Got it on the sample, and I've got it on the rooms. So that's kind of putting everything in the same space and gluing it together. You want me to take a deeper dive on any of these things? Hit me in the comments. I'd love to answer your questions. See you next time, and go get some work done.